So federal government shutdowns occur when Congress fails to fund federal government operations. About a quarter of the federal budget has to be voted on a regular basis by Congress in order to continue authorizing the government to spend money on certain functions. So from that perspective, we are actually not talking about a full government shutdown, but a partial government slowdown, because 3/4 of federal spending continues to go out the door, including for benefits like Social Security and Medicare. The quarter of the budget that Congress has to vote on at least once annually and sometimes more often pertains to defense and non-defense domestic functions that are deemed discretionary spending, where Congress actually has to take a vote, rather than so-called autopilot entitlement programs, which grow without any congressional review. This is one problem with the U.S. federal budget, is that so much of it is on autopilot and so little requires congressional appropriation. The immediate implications of a federal government shutdown are that federal government workers, even those deemed essential, like air traffic controllers, for example, do not get paid during the duration of the government shutdown. So for federal government workers who live paycheck to paycheck and don't have emergency savings to tie them over during a month or 2 months period where they're not getting paid, this poses a real hardship. It could mean having to take on credit card debt in order to pay your rent or buy food, or in some cases federal government workers are trying to supplement their federal employment by driving for Uber or DoorDash, which then can mean that they may not show up for work, or they may be delayed because instead of sleeping they are trying to pull a double shift to make up for the lack of a paycheck that they're not currently receiving. For many American families, the government shutdown is also an issue if they've planned vacations to U.S. national parks, some of which are shut down. The museums in Washington, D.C. have been shut down for over a month. And then many customer service functions that the federal government carries out have been either slowed down or halted for the period of the government shutdown, including data collection for such essential data as inflation, as well as labor market movements. That's all essential data, not just for businesses to make investment decisions, but also for the U.S. Federal Reserve to determine the best interest rate and other monetary policy levers in order to meet their mandate of maintaining a stable dollar and the dual mandate of stable employment. So with those functions ceasing, the longer that a federal government shutdown goes on, there's more economic pain and harm, both on the individual level and on a macroeconomic level, particularly because of the lack of data influencing the ability for business, say, to make investments, and for monetary policy to reflect the current state of the economy.